This young girl called Dakota before the fight, thinking she could break her confidence.
I went in feeling strong, feeling good. It didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to, which is fine. I was just happy to get in the cage, to be fair. It's been a long time. A year and a half I've been waiting to get back in, so after an injury, and then as soon as the opportunity came up, I was like, yes, I'll do it, whoever it is, I don't mind.
I've been around it for all my life really, so from being young I was pushing my little doll's prams around the class while she's teaching here, and clinging onto her leg and under the table, and you know, I was just around it forever really, so I was just born into it I think. And then when I was 4 years old I had a couple of fights, and then after that completely stopped, and I didn't come back to it till I was about 12, 13. I did other things like.
But what happened next inside the cage shocked the entire world.
Clinch from Dakota there.
Yeah, Dakota just spinning back elbow just missed, and this is the thing, and another, and a knee,
Straight across
and another elbow, and another.
That's opened up a cut on Isum's head. Big back elbow.
No quitting Isum at all.
You are watching Boxing Planet, and in this video, we'll talk about one of Dakota Ditcheva's debut matches against Carrie Isum. Carrie Isum came in full of confidence, convinced she would win with ease. What she didn't know was that this was the start of something special, Dakota's very first professional MMA fight. The bout took place at Celtic Gladiator 30 on September 12th, 2021, and it quickly became clear that Dakota was no ordinary newcomer. With sharp skills, controlled aggression, and a champion's mindset already visible, she left no doubt that she was destined for greatness in the cage. Round 1. The opening bell rang, and both fighters stepped out from their corners with laser focus. Carrie Isum began bouncing lightly on her toes, eyes scanning for the right angle to land her shots. Dakota Ditcheva, calm and composed, moved with calculated footwork, her guard high and her gaze locked on her opponent. There was no rush in her approach. Every step forward felt deliberate, like she was already setting traps. The first exchange came quickly. Carrie flicked out a probing jab to measure distance, but Dakota slipped just enough to avoid the shot and answered with a crisp right hand down the middle. The punch didn't land with full force, but it was sharp enough to get Carrie's attention. The crowd reacted, sensing the skill and precision in Dakota's timing. They circled, both fighters testing each other with feints and light kicks. Carrie tried to mix things up with a looping overhand right, but Dakota leaned back and countered with a quick combination, a jab, cross, and a low kick that smacked against Carrie's lead leg. 1 minute in, Dakota started to build momentum. She began doubling up her jab, forcing Carrie backward. Every time Carrie tried to plant her feet and fire back, Dakota would step off at an angle, making her miss before punishing her with counters. The precision was clear, and so was the confidence. Dakota's strikes weren't wild, they were patient, accurate, and purposeful. By the midway point of the round, Carrie was already showing signs of discomfort. Dakota had chopped at her leg, snapped her head back with straight punches, and landed a body shot that made her opponent take a subtle step away. Carrie's attempts to push forward were cut short by Dakota's sharp footwork and quick defensive reactions. Sensing an opportunity, Dakota began applying heavier pressure. She moved in behind her jab, pushing Carrie toward the cage. Carrie tried to circle out, but Dakota cut her off with a blistering three-punch combination that forced Carrie to cover up. The sound of the shots landing drew loud cheers from the crowd, the pace now shifting entirely in Dakota's favor. With less than a minute to go in the round, Dakota unleashed her most aggressive sequence yet. A hard right hand stunned Carrie, followed immediately by a left hook that forced her to stumble back into the fence. Dakota closed the distance in an instant, swarming with short, accurate punches and a knee to the body. Carrie tried to clinch to slow the assault, but Dakota broke free and went right back to work. The intensity in those final seconds was overwhelming. Dakota kept her strikes tight and relentless, targeting both the head and body. Carrie's guard was high, but too many shots were slipping through. The referee moved in closer, watching carefully as Dakota poured on the offense. Then came the decisive moment. With just 11 seconds left in the round, Dakota landed a clean right hand, followed by a flurry that left Carrie unable to effectively defend herself. The referee had seen enough and stepped in to stop the fight at 4:49 of the first round. The crowd erupted as Dakota raised her hands in victory, her professional MMA debut ending in dominant fashion. What started as a test against a confident opponent became a clear statement. Dakota Ditcheva was here to make waves, and this performance was just the beginning of her undefeated journey.
Click below to subscribe and watch more MMA content.
Now, let's take a look at Dakota's other fights and how she continued to dominate every opponent who stood in her way. The fight between Dakota Ditcheva and Jenny Line took place on April 10th, 2021 at Cage Steel 25 in Doncaster, England. It was a highly anticipated bout, marking the professional MMA debut for both fighters. As the cage door closed, the bell rang, and the first round began with both fighters looking composed. Jenny Line came out with quick footwork, circling and using her jab to keep distance. She looked confident, trying to disrupt Dakota's rhythm early on. Jenny threw a few probing strikes and moved well laterally, avoiding Dakota's initial attempts to close the distance. For the first 30 seconds, she managed to stay out of range and looked to be settling into a pace. But Dakota Ditcheva remained patient. She didn't rush or react emotionally. She studied Jenny's movement, waited for an opening, and then began to increase the pressure. Dakota threw a sharp leg kick that landed cleanly, making Jenny adjust her stance. Moments later, Dakota stepped in with a crisp right hand that connected flush on Jenny's chin. The shot stunned her and marked the turning point of the round. Jenny tried to fire back, but Dakota had already read her timing and started walking her down. Jenny backed up toward the cage, trying to escape the pressure. Dakota threw a feint, then came in with a left hook that partially landed, followed by a knee to the body that visibly hurt Jenny. Dakota then entered clinch range, using her Muay Thai background to control the position. She delivered another knee to the midsection, and Jenny began to slow down. Dakota sensed the opportunity and unloaded a barrage of punches. Each shot landed with precision, short hooks and straight rights that pushed Jenny against the cage. She covered up, trying to survive, but Dakota's onslaught didn't let up. The referee kept a close eye on the action as Jenny absorbed clean punches without firing back. After several unanswered strikes and seeing Jenny no longer intelligently defending herself, the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. It was a first-round TKO victory for Dakota Ditcheva, a dominant and clinical performance that left no doubt about her potential. The crowd erupted in cheers as Dakota had just made a statement in her pro debut. She showcased composure, fight IQ, and finishing ability. The way she adapted quickly, landed damaging shots, and stayed aggressive without being reckless showed a maturity far beyond a debutante. Jenny Line, to her credit, came prepared and showed courage, but she simply couldn't keep up with Dakota's pace and power. This fight marked the beginning of Dakota Ditcheva's rise in professional MMA. With a performance like that, it was clear she was not just living up to expectations, she was ready to exceed them. Fight between Dakota Ditcheva and Simone de Silva. This match was one of Dakota's early bouts, taking place at UKFC 9, back when she was not yet famous. At that time, most people didn't know Dakota would go on to dominate the future PFL. Simone de Silva, confident and fearless, stepped up to challenge Dakota for this fight. But what seemed like a bold move quickly turned into the biggest mistake of her life. This match took place on January 15th, 2022 at PAWFC 1 in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. This fight was an important step in Dakota's career because it marked one of her early showcases on an international stage. While she was already recognized in the UK regional scene, the PAWFC appearance helped introduce her to a broader MMA audience. Round 1. From the opening bell, Dakota established control in the stand-up exchanges. She came out in her classic Muay Thai stance, light on her feet, snapping out quick jabs and firing powerful leg kicks. Simone tried to find her rhythm, throwing punches and combinations, but Dakota's speed and precision stood out immediately.
Look at those. Those are not fresh. Oh, another huge knee. Oh, wow. We're waiting. Whoa. Whoa.
After softening Simone up on the feet, she transitioned the fight to the ground, surprising many who expected her to stay standing. Once on top, Dakota immediately established control, keeping Simone pinned and unable to escape. From there, she unleashed a relentless barrage of ground and pound, landing punches and elbows until Simone could no longer defend. The referee stepped in, awarding Dakota the win by second-round TKO. The finish showcased not just her elite Muay Thai striking, but also her growing to dominate on the mat. This performance at PAWFC 1 proved Dakota was more than a striker. She was a complete fighter, destined for bigger stages. Dakota Ditcheva's journey is more than just a story of strength. It's proof that passion, discipline, and confidence can turn anyone into a true champion. Every time she steps into the cage, she brings fire, focus, and the will to win. Whether it's facing off against tough opponents or proving doubters wrong, Dakota continues to rise higher with every fight. Her power, skill, and calm under pressure have made her one of the most feared and respected fighters in the sport today. As fans, we can only wait to see what she does next, because with Dakota, every match becomes a moment to remember. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of Dakota's next jaw-dropping fights.
What am I going to do in the next 16 years? What's the best thing I can do? Get ready to meet God.